Been a few days since I've done a live, I know, because I've just been so busy. Got a lot of work on at the minute, so I've been a bit busy. Anyway, today is talking about not making assumptions on other people's intentions. Comes from, read this book a couple of weeks ago, The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz. Quite a famous book, it's only little, and we're going to talk about one of these agreements, which is don't make assumptions. So the four agreements, right, this is what they are. I've got all these little bits of paper in here just because, you know, they're like little bookmarks. So the first agreement, be impeccable with your word, right? Sounds obvious. Second agreement, don't take anything personally. Probably the hardest one to do because, you know, we all take things personally, so don't take anything personally. The third agreement, don't make assumptions, which is what we're going to talk about. And then the fourth agreement, always do your best. That's probably the one that I like the most because that's something we can all do. Every day we can always do our best. Right? And that's something that we don't need anyone else for, you know, and we're only judging ourselves when we're doing our best. So anyway, today, don't make assumptions. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to give you an example, right? And it's straight from the book. I've got a bookmark in here, page 70, right? This is about when you, in terms of like a relationship, like a romantic relationship. So often, you know, when you meet someone in a relationship and you really like them, you can often, you know, you get into a relationship and you have to, you almost like justify why you like this person, right? And what you'll do is you'll look for all the, it's like a confirmation bias, you'll look for all the things that you like about this person, or use that to kind of justify it, almost rationalize it, post-rationalize it later. And you might be ignoring some of the things that you don't like about that person because you really want it to work. It's almost like confirmation bias, right? And you know, you may lie to yourself, and I don't, this is why, you know, there's a term, love is blind, and it's very true. You might lie to yourself about this. And when I was reading this a couple of weeks ago, a friend sent me a bit of a long message, and all I did was screenshotted page 70 of this book and sent it to my friend because it pretty much answered everything. My friend at the time, a very, very intelligent guy, was, and he knew this, you know, it's not like this person didn't know, but he knew he was, in the past, he'd made, almost paid too much attention to a particular person, almost like making excuses for them. But I'll just read page 70 because it kind of says it all better than I can say it. In your whole life, nobody has ever abused you more than you have abused yourself. Sorry, this is page 20. I'm on the wrong page. Right, hang on. Page 70. I'm going to get back to that one because it is an important point. Page 70. Often when you go into a relationship with someone you like, you have to justify why you like that person. You only see what you want to see, and you deny there are things that you don't like about that person. You lie to yourself to make that person right. Then you make assumptions, and one assumption is, my love will change that person, right? But this is not true. Your love will not change anybody. If others change, it's because they want to change, not because you can change them. Then something happens between you two and you get hurt. Suddenly you see what you didn't want to see before, only now it is amplified by your emotional poison. Now you have to justify your emotional pain and blame others, blame them for your choices. We don't need to justify love. It is either there, it is there, or it is not. Right, so there's a lot in that to unpack. I mean, I've underlined a couple of things. The first one is, then you make assumptions, and one of the assumptions is, my love will change this person. How many times have people tried to change others? It's like, I don't know if you ever dated someone and there's something you don't like, and like you spend like, I don't know, 12 months trying to work on them, hoping and things like this. And, you know, it's not just in relationships. There's a lot of situations in life. It's almost covered by the sunk cost fallacy, as in, I've invested a lot of time into it, and you stick around a lot longer than you should a lot of the times, hoping that they'll change when there's, you know, unless there's any evidence of that change, you know, you are just assuming that you're going to change that person. You can't. Everyone changes themselves. I think the better situation there would be just to have a straight out conversation with that person and just say, look, I don't like this, whatever, you know, just lay it down and see how they respond. Trying to think that somehow behind the scenes that you'll be able to gradually change them through, you know, it's almost like a bit of manipulation or like a covert contract sort of nice guy thing, like, I'll do this for the person, eventually they'll change for me. I don't think so. Hello from London. Hi Sam, you all right? Hi Abigail. Thanks for joining. So trying to think that you can change someone is a no-no, you know. You're better off to have a straight out conversation. And then, you know, if things don't change, then, you know, you've got to accept it. And, you know, am I prepared to accept this and compromise? Or, you know, the worst thing you can do is think you're going to change someone. Because it says here, but this is not true. Your love will not change anybody. If others change, it's because they want to change, not because you can change them. And then this is the important point, which I've underlined next. Then, if you let that happen, then something happens between you two and you get hurt. All because you're thinking you're going to change them. The book is 4 Agreements. Don Miguel Ruiz, that's what I'm reading. But then, if you think you can change someone, you're trying to do it through covert contracts, trying to, you know, subtle little manipulations, little messages, little things that you're trying to change about that person. If you try and do that gradually, what will happen is, as it says here, all of a sudden something will happen because you've been sort of lying to yourself about the things you don't like. You're only looking at the things that you do like, you know. As I say, it says at the start of here, often when you go into a relationship with someone you like, you have to justify why you like that person. You only see the good and you use that to justify it and you ignore the bad. It's like a confirmation bias. And then you try and think that I'll change that person, and when you can't, yes, I'm from the UK, yeah, and when you can't change that person, something happens all of a sudden, and then you get really hurt because you've been lying to yourself. And what you should do is have a straight out conversation. And I think that's true of everything, basically, not just romantic relationships, absolutely everything, you know. That is what I believe. You know, I was just going to go back to page 20 here, which has a section in it, which is based on the first agreement, which is be impeccable with your word. Quite important. It's related. So this is about being impeccable with your word and self-respect. In your whole life, nobody has ever abused yourself more than you abuse nobody has ever abused you more than you have abused yourself. And the limit of your self-abuse is exactly the limit that you will tolerate from someone else. If someone abuses you a little more than you abuse yourself, you'll probably walk away from that person. But if somebody abuses you a little less than you abuse yourself, you'll probably stay in that relationship and tolerate it endlessly. If you abuse yourself very badly, you can even tolerate someone who beats you up, humiliates you, and treats you like dirt. Why? Because in your belief system, you say, I deserve it. This person is doing me a favor by being with me. I'm not worthy of love and respect. I'm not good enough. And I think that feeds into, you know, the third agreement, which is, you know, don't make assumptions about others. because, you know, we're trying to change that person. We kind of tolerate things, and the idea about making assumptions is, you know, we try and justify why we like someone, make assumptions, hide all the bad things, and then we start making excuses. This is something hard that I've deal with or come to terms with, right? So I spoke to this with my meditation coach, Roberto, about you know, just generally living life. Like we have almost like we have like frameworks that we, you know, like mental models that we use, and one of them is like profiling people, isn't it? And I personally think it's a good skill to try and profile people. The danger is you get into putting people in boxes and making assumptions, but you know, life's often too complicated to try and not simplify it. You know, just put people in quick boxes just because you get faster results. But the danger is if you're bad at profiling people, you can end up making bad assumptions about people. And what Roberto sort of teaches me is just to approach everything with in this book it calls it, I think it's right in the back, here now it says about and I've read this in Naval's book, you know, Naval Ravikant, the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. He talks about being childlike in your approach to life, and I like this, right? But being childlike is like where you don't care about the past or the future. You're just in the moment, right? And this is like when Roberto says, he tells me about this, is like just live in the moment and approach every interaction like it's the first time you've ever met someone, and almost like give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And that is often quite risky. Most people struggle with giving people the benefit of the doubt because there's all sorts of like inbuilt maybe coming from trauma, like inbuilt reactions where, I don't give anyone the benefit of the doubt because, you know, my default position is to have this wall up and just protect myself. And I spent years like that, you know, I just like wear this like huge exoskeleton where no one can get close and just never trust anyone. I'd be super polite, but living like that, childlike, where you can approach any interaction but like it's the first time, like it's your first meeting with someone, like a fresh meeting, and immediately off the bat you're going to give them the benefit of the doubt and initial trust to a point. The only way you can do that is have really good kind of like tight boundaries that are really tuned in, so the minute you spot something you can just immediately go, okay, that's not for me. And so that kind of falls into the fourth agreement, you know. Sorry, almost like it's not within the agreement actually. It's in there's a section at the back. It's called the Toltec Path to Freedom. So it's like breaking old agreements and living new way, which is almost like living childlike, you know. It says here, the real you is still a little child who never grew up. Sometimes that little child comes out when you're having fun or playing, when you're feeling happy, when you're painting, when you're writing poetry or playing the piano or expressing yourself in some ways. These are the happiest moments of your life, when the real you comes out and when you don't care about the past and you don't worry about the future. You are childlike. And if you've read the Almanac of Naval Ravikant, which I do urge you to do, it's a fantastic little book. Naval almost approaches life like this. It's almost like, you know, if you think about the four agreements, you're not holding you're not taking, the second agreement is don't take anything personally, which is where this one comes in really well. So, like, let's say you've got a really good set of boundaries, you've got really good life direction, you've got an identity sorted out, which is what I talk about a lot on my channel. Create an identity for yourself and then go and live according to it. If you've got all them things lined up and you're working towards your goals, you're almost invincible. You don't have to take anything personally because it doesn't really matter. The only thing you do then need is just a few boundaries, you know, to sit with you in case you get mistreated by others. And then you can happily just walk away, but you don't hold any grudges, nothing like that. You're not thinking about the past, you're not thinking about the future. So if you like that, you can then live each moment fully childlike, you know, approach each interaction and give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I'm not saying get walked over, but yeah, I think it's an interesting concept. So I've been mixed about, just back to the point about making assumptions about people, I've been mixed about it. Yeah, I don't make assumptions about people, but I don't mind. The more you get to know someone, you need to sort of create, put them in a box, you know, create a kind of archetype for them. And it doesn't matter at which model you use, whether you're going to use something like, you know, the types of behavior models that you can, personality systems, you know, you've got the Myers-Briggs, you've got disc profiling, which is a really good one, especially for business. And then you've got like attachment styles for love, which is good for like romantic relationships. Although I also think attachment styles are so reliable also in business. You can see how people behave there. So yeah, why don't you go and give it a go? 4 Agreements. Have a little go at that book. I don't know what you think about making assumptions about people. I think you've got to be careful. I like the idea of living childlike and just approaching every interaction like it's the first time you've met and giving everyone the benefit of the doubt. All right, I'm going to shoot. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.